I never thought a single moment could tilt the axis of my entire life, but I remember the exact second it happened. It was a warm autumn afternoon in Oregon, leaves tumbling down my driveway like they were running from something, and I, 43-year-old single mother Sarah Bennett, was simply trying to gather the remains of a life that had felt painfully predictable. But then Claire Turner, my son's friend's mom, stepped out of her silver SUV with a smile that hit me like sunlight after weeks of rain. She brushed her hair behind her ear and looked at me in a way no one had in years, like I was seen, truly seen, and in that small, disarming moment, something deep in me shifted, quietly but completely. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected connections, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps more people find these emotional stories. For most of my adult life, I had lived inside the safe, familiar outlines of being Sarah the mom, Sarah the dependable office worker, Sarah who never made waves. After my divorce 5 years earlier, my world had shrunk into a predictable routine. Work, home, cooking, laundry, sleep, repeat. My son Noah, 12 years old and endlessly curious, was the only bright adventure in my days. The rest of it? Quiet, flat, almost airless. I wasn't unhappy, not exactly. I was simply existing, breathing in, breathing out, waiting for something I didn't even know I was waiting for. Then came the day Noah announced that his new friend Ethan was coming over after school to work on a history project, a simple enough arrangement. Kids did schoolwork together all the time. But when Claire knocked on my door later that day, I opened it expecting a rushed hello, maybe a polite smile. Instead, I found a woman whose presence shifted the air around us. She looked to be about my age, maybe a little younger. Tall, with chestnut brown hair that curled slightly at the ends, she wore a navy sweater. That brought out her warm, hazel eyes. When she smiled, something inside me unraveled like an old ribbon finally loosening. From the very beginning, she wasn't shy about being warm, about being friendly, about being present in a way people rarely were. She complimented my porch plants, asked how my week had been, laughed softly at something small I said. And then, as she turned to leave, she touched my hand lightly, just a brush of fingers, and said, "Sarah, it's really nice meeting you. I hope this won't be the last time." The moment she drove away, I stood frozen on my porch, wondering why I felt like someone had cracked open a window in a house that had been sealed shut for years. Over the next few weeks, Claire became a frequent visitor. She'd drop Ethan off with a smile that always seemed meant specifically for me. She'd stay for a few minutes that became 10, then 20. Then sometimes a half hour before she'd laugh and say she really should go. She'd ask about my day, about my favorite books, about the little things that made up the fabric of my life. And sometimes, more often than I wanted to admit, her eyes lingered on me with something soft, something curious, something interested. I didn't know what to do with the fluttering feeling in my stomach every time she walked through my door. I told myself it was admiration, gratitude, friendship. But the truth was more complicated, tangled with emotions I hadn't let myself feel or name. One Friday evening, as the boys worked on their project upstairs, Claire stood in my kitchen leaning against the counter. She watched me stir pasta on the stove, the fading sunlight painting her face with gold. She teased me gently about being the most organized mom she'd ever met, and then, for a brief moment, reached out and tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. That simple gesture nearly stole the breath from my lungs. I went to bed that night with a heart full of confusion. I had never been attracted to a woman before. Never entertained the idea, never looked at my life through that lens. I was a mother, a Christian, a woman who had lived within simple, clear lines. But something in me was shifting, subtle, yet undeniable. Days blended into weeks, and Claire's presence became woven into the rhythm of my life. School drop-offs, quick grocery store runs where we'd bump into each other, small talks that turned into long conversations in parking lots. I found myself looking forward to her visits more than I should have. Her voice calmed me, her laughter warmed me, her kindness made me feel like I was blooming internally, petal by petal. But with feelings came fear. What would people think? What would Noah think? What did I think? Every night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling terrified of the truth that was slowly unfolding inside me. This wasn't just friendship. This wasn't just admiration. Claire made my heart move, alive, awake, hopeful in ways I hadn't felt since I was young, but it felt like forbidden territory, unfamiliar ground with no map, no certainty. One evening, rain poured heavily outside as Claire came to pick up Ethan. The storm made her hair damp, sticking slightly to her cheeks. I invited her inside, insisting she wait out the worst of the rain. She stepped into the warm light of my living room and shook off the cold. She looked tired, emotionally tired, not just physically. She sank onto the couch, and I sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. She hesitated, fidgeted with her sleeve, and then told me about her failing marriage. How she'd been separated from her husband for months. How she felt unseen, unheard. How she felt guilty for wanting more from life. Her voice trembled slightly, and instinctively I placed my hand over hers. When she turned her palm upward and held my hand back, something inside me cracked open, painful, beautiful, terrifying. We didn't speak for several moments. The sound of rain filled the silence between us, a soft, rhythmic heartbeat. I didn't kiss her. She didn't kiss me. But that moment, our hands gently clasped, our breathing synced, was the moment my heart fully understood what my mind hadn't dared to name. I cared for her, more than I expected, more than I knew how to handle. Over the next few days, I wrestled with my emotions. I questioned myself, judged myself, feared judgment from others. But every time Claire smiled at me, every time her small acts of kindness found their way into my day, a text asking if I'd eaten lunch, a hand-picked bouquet she left on my porch, I felt like life was finally inviting me to step out of survival mode and into something real, something bright. And yet, I kept pushing my feelings aside, refusing to acknowledge their truth. Old fears clung to me like shadows. Everything changed one Saturday morning. Noah and Ethan were playing in the backyard while Claire and I sat on a blanket spread across the grass, sipping warm tea. The sun cast gentle rays across the lawn, illuminating tiny dust particles that floated like magic around us. Claire laughed at something I said, then suddenly grew quiet. Her eyes softened, her voice dropping slightly as she confessed that she enjoyed my company more than she expected, that I made her feel safe, grounded, understood. My heart raced, but I still said nothing. Fear kept my truth locked inside. She studied me for a moment, then whispered, "If I'm reading things wrong, tell me. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." I looked away, staring at the fence, at the sky, anywhere except her eyes. My chest felt tight, squeezing me from the inside. I wanted to be brave. I wanted to say the truth. But years of burying my emotions had built walls I couldn't tear down. And then, unexpectedly, my son's laughter rang through the yard, echoing like a reminder that life didn't wait for permission. It simply moved, changed, grew. I turned back to Claire and found her watching me with patience, hope, and a gentleness I hadn't felt from anyone in years. In that moment, courage finally bloomed. I admitted softly, just above a whisper, that I didn't know what I was feeling, but whatever it was, it scared me because it felt real, deep, and completely unexpected. Claire didn't flinch. She simply squeezed my hand and told me that confusion didn't make my feelings invalid, that life sometimes gave us gifts wrapped in unfamiliar shapes, that it was okay to grow in directions we never saw coming. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. From that day forward, our connection deepened, not rushed, not forced, but gently and naturally. We talked more openly. We supported each other. We let ourselves explore emotions without shame or fear. I discovered pieces of myself I didn't know existed, strength, softness, courage, hope. And through it all, Claire became someone I cherished deeply, someone who made me feel alive again. My lesbian era, as I later jokingly called it, didn't start with labels or declarations. It began with kindness, with unexpected understanding, with someone seeing me in a way no one else had. It was less about changing my identity and more about expanding my heart. Life didn't instantly become easier. There were whispers, curious glances, moments of doubt. But there was also warmth, honesty, and a love that felt slow and steady, like dawn stretching across a quiet sky. Most importantly, Noah accepted it with the innocence only children have. He simply smiled and said, "Mom, you look happy," and that was enough. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach others who might need them. Before we end, tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced an unexpected connection that changed your life? In the end, what mattered wasn't the label or the fear. It was the courage to follow the quiet truth inside me and let myself be loved in a new, beautiful way. Through Claire, I learned that life gives us chapters we never planned for. But sometimes those are the chapters that transform us the most. And when I look back now, standing in the warm glow of a life I never expected, I'm grateful for that one moment on my porch, when a woman with a gentle smile made me feel seen for the very first time. Thank you for watching. Stay kind, stay open, and let love surprise you.